You hear it all the time, right? Every company claims they want great ideas from their employees. But what if the way we go about it, the classic suggestion box, the so called open door policy, is actually the problem? Today, we're going to explore the real journey of an idea and figure out how to make sure the brilliant ones actually make it to the finish line.
So let's start with a simple question. Just think about your own career for a second. Where have you seen those fantastic suggestions, those really smart solutions, and those genuinely innovative ideas just vanish into thin air?
Yep, I bet this is what came to mind. The suggestion box. It's supposed to be a starting line, but let's be honest, for most ideas, it's a dead end. It's a black hole where good intentions go in, but absolutely nothing ever comes out. And that right there shows just how deeply we misunderstand what it really takes to turn a simple idea into a real-world improvement.
Okay, so to figure out why that suggestion box becomes a graveyard for good ideas, we first have to talk about the real problem, which is how we think about employee voice itself.
So here's the official textbook definition. It's basically employees speaking up with useful ideas to make the company better. Sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? But the problem isn't the definition, it's the way we look at it. And this gets to the absolute heart of it all. We treat employee voice like a snapshot, a single frozen moment in time. An employee submits an idea. Click, done. But that assumes the whole thing is static. The reality? Well, the reality is that an idea's journey is a movie. It's an ongoing story that unfolds over time with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's all about change and interaction, not just a single photograph.
So let's really dig into this whole idea of thinking in time. Because shifting our perspective from a snapshot to a movie, well, it isn't just a clever analogy. It's the absolute key to unlocking actual results. And look, this isn't just a new thought. This quote from a major academic review says it all. For years, researchers have been pointing out that we're missing the change part of the equation. We just don't study how an idea actually becomes an improvement. Or, on the flip side, how a lack of ideas leads to things getting worse. And you see the problem, right? If the experts are only taking snapshots, how can we expect managers to direct the full movie?
And here's the proof. It's actually kind of shocking. Out of 256 different academic studies on this topic, guess how many actually bothered to watch the movie by tracking ideas over time? Just 3. That's it. So think about what that means. Almost everything we think we know about employee voice is based on these isolated single moments. We see the suggestion, and maybe we see an outcome way down the line, but we are totally blind to the entire journey in between. We're missing the most important part of the story. Which, of course, leads us to the most exciting question. If we stop taking snapshots and we actually roll the camera, what do we see? What does this journey of an idea really truly look like in practice? Well, to answer that, let's look at a perfect real-world example. We're going to dive into the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen using a fascinating 2024 study of manufacturing teams. Now, if you're not familiar with Kaizen, it is the perfect embodiment of this movie view. It's not about big, one-off suggestions. No, it's a culture of continuous, small, incremental improvements. It's a process that truly never stops, and it involves absolutely everyone. And what's so cool is that when researchers watch these Kaizen teams in action, they didn't just see a more efficient suggestion system. They discovered a predictable, 4-step chain reaction, a clear process that consistently turns simple team interactions into real, tangible improvements. So let's walk through it. It all kicks off with strong team relationships, real trust and respect. That trust then allows the team to build what you could call a shared brain, where everyone knows who the go-to expert is for any given problem. Now, because they have that shared understanding, it feels way safer and much more effective for people to speak up with constructive ideas. And that leads right to the final step. More high-quality ideas directly fuel better performance. See? It's a clear chain of events, not just a single action. Okay, so that Kaizen example is fantastic. It shows us what one successful movie can look like. But what about everybody else? Is there a kind of universal map that any organization could use to script their own success story? Well, it turns out there is. It's called the MOOVE framework, and you can think of it like a roadmap for an idea's entire life. It helps us see exactly where things might be going wrong, starting with why someone speaks up in the first place, to the opportunities they get,
how they frame their idea, how that idea gets handled, the back and forth dialogue, and finally, the actual results. It's the full life cycle.
Now, out of all those stages, I want to zoom in on number 5, feedback loops, because this is the engine that keeps the movie going. It's that dynamic, ongoing conversation that makes sure an idea isn't just tossed into a box, but is actually discussed, revisited, and evaluated. This is the complete opposite of that suggestion box black hole. It's how you build trust and keep the whole process alive. So, at the end of the day, what this framework really does is it makes it impossible to keep thinking in those old static snapshots. It forces us to see the whole, messy, dynamic journey of an idea and gives us a map to pinpoint exactly where a great idea might be getting stuck. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. If you remember just one thing from all of this, what should it be? It all comes down to this. If you really want to unlock the power of your team's ideas, you have to stop focusing on the single event, that moment someone drops a suggestion in a box. Instead, you have to start managing the entire process of that idea's journey. It's time to stop taking snapshots and start directing the movie.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. Using this new movie mindset, where on its long journey is your organization losing its best ideas? Is it right at the beginning because people just don't feel safe enough to speak up? Or is it getting stuck somewhere in the middle, in a broken feedback loop? Find that broken scene in the movie, and you've found the perfect place to start directing a much, much better story.